Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are actually tuning in from. I'm sorry about yesterday. When I usually come on Monday, I come also on YouTube, so it can be recorded and it can be shared, but there's a problem with the connection. I am tuning in from my hometown. And well, connection is an issue here. I tried to solve it and it didn't work. So today, most important is we are together, and this is going to be recorded to be shared with the people who weren't able to tune in and to be live with me. What are we talking about today? We're talking about memory, and not just for the sake of memory. And what is memory? Like making memories, like now, for example, during holidays, many of us are actually making memorable moments. They're building things for them to be remembered. But we're delving more deeply, exactly, is the importance of memory in the learning and the development of the character, in success. Believe it or not, memory is important for actual success. So many things are planned for tonight, and especially I'm talking about the 5 aspects of memory, or what makes memory, or why memory is important, and then what can we do to develop our memory, because we're not just here to lay facts and give problems. We're here to understand and develop. So we learn, we experience what we learned, we achieve a result so that we can develop to the next level. And that's what is I Lead all about. Remembering to do it with intent and loving the process. I Lead. So, memory. Today, the 5 aspects of memory. First of all, it is the core of learning. Memory shapes your identity and your decision making. So, actually who you are. Memory is not fixed as the understanding is, and it can be developed. Memory interpretation matters as much as memory storage. And finally, memory strength means lifelong learning. We're going to delve deeper on this and explain further. And don't worry, it will be very clear. There's no scientific jargon. Sometimes I might mention a few things, but I'll make sure to explain it and make it very clear. So, memory is the core of learning. This is the first time I come live, just in between brackets from here, and so I'm not sure. Well, it's a gray area for me. Hopefully, I'll make sure I learn as I go. Memory, learning, and I can be more effective in interactions and knowing who's tuned in. But for today, forgive me if I'm not ignoring your comments. I'm just trying to go with the flow and be as rich and giving as possible, giving unconditionally. And hopefully with time, the experience will improve. So, memory, we said first is the core of learning. Very simple question. How do we learn? Anyone thought about this? How do we learn? Did you have a thought about this? Did you think how does learning happen? Learning in general, not just academically speaking, like in life. When you're born, you're like, the analogy is well known all over the world. You're like a blank paper on which you start writing. So that writing is the learning process. And learning is not just taking in new information. It's not just like storing things and the more I'm given, I'm just storing. No, I interact with what I'm learning. And also I link it to what I know from before. Now you're going to tell me a newborn baby, what do they link it to? They link it to what they were hearing in the womb, which is the mother's voice. And whether or you have seen this before, the memory starts registering 6 months before birth. Yes, 6 months before birth. And that's something we learn in neurolinguistic programming. And that's where we start working with people who want to overcome their mental and emotion blocks. So the mind starts registering as soon as 6 months in the womb. Registering what? Registering information. So when you add to this information, you're linking to what you already learned so that the building process happens. I'll give a very simple example, hopefully you can relate to. Opening doors. Kids, babies, toddlers, when they start walking and start touching everything, they don't know how to open a door. But then we teach them that there's a doorknob that you turn like this and it opens, or you just turn like this and you open. So they learn that the door has a key to open it. Not a literal key, but that there's a way to open it. And so we give them few examples for them to realize. So step 1, there's something we use to open a door. Step 2, we give them different examples, like there is the one that you turn like this, there's the one that you turn like this, there are some that you just move like this. And so they learn that there are a variety of ways to open a door. When they encounter yet another way of opening a door, just maybe by pushing, okay, now they know that this is a door, means there's a way to open it, and so they will explore and try to find the way to open that. They're building on what they learned. Okay, so it's not just storage of information, it's also linking with what I learned. And from here, we understand the importance of long-term memory. So there's the working memory. Now, as I am, learning the short-term memory, if you may, and there's the long-term memory. The short-term memory, things that I'm just learning now, if I interact with them, if I practice them, if I do something with them, then those memories, those learned concepts, or this information now become stored in my long-term memory, and it will help me in my learning experience. Okay, so that's number 1. And to give another example, not just about doorknobs, right? Driving, for those who drive, to give an example for older people. Okay, when you first get into a car, you have so many things to learn, to understand how they function: the gear, the steering wheel, the pedals, the clicker. You have to know how to use every single button for a proper and successful learning experience, driving experience. If you miss something, then an accident may happen, or you just may not be able to start. Okay? But next time, or after practice, so during practice, I learn how each object can be used in different circumstances, so the different examples, and I build my memory, and I reach a point where I don't have to think about all of these. They become in my long-term memory, and it becomes second nature. If we had to think about every single action we do, our brain would be overwhelmed. At a single moment, our brain can only process 6 bits of information. So imagine everything we do in life is like a first-time experience. We cannot function at all. We just we'll become numb, because you have to process how to eat, how to get out, how to walk, how to get out the house. So that's a lot of information to process. That's why long-term memory is very important. Now, done with the memory is the core of learning. Number 2, memory shapes who we are. Wow, what do I mean by that? Like, my memory literally shapes who I am today? Yes. Your character today, your ability or not to handle stress, your ability to not to empathize, your ability or not to love, your ability or not to enjoy a certain experience relies on your past experiences. Very quick and simple example that many can relate to. Your phobias from dogs, from spiders, from tight spaces. They're all connected to a past experience. You've been bitten by a dog, someone showed you a very scary movie about spiders, You've been trapped in a very small space, and since then, that experience became traumatic, and it fed into this phobia that became bigger and bigger with time, because no one helped you understand that it was a single incident that does not reflect what will happen every time you encounter a spider, you are in a closed space, or you see a dog. Okay? So memories, they actually shape who we are. What we go through in our life will affect our character as adults. They will affect how much we love, if we can love unconditionally, if we can empathize, if we are risk takers, if we're decision makers. Yes, they are all tied to our experiences, to our memories as children, to everything we go through since we actually were born and before 6 months. Okay, so it looks so daunting, right? And like, oh my, I'm doomed. I had a very traumatic childhood, so there's no future for me. There are solutions. Just hang on with me. We're just now talking about memory as memory, its role, its importance in learning, in growth, and in development, because that's what we're talking about today. To understand, but also to know what to do so that we can learn and we can experience to achieve results and develop into our better self. So, memory shapes who we are because of our experiences. They build our memory, and from that memory, I build a character, I build my ability, my resilience, or not. Okay, that's number 2. So number 1, it's the role in learning. Number 2, building who we are. Number 3, we have to know that memory is actually trainable. The people say, I have a bad memory, or I just have a bad memory. I just can't remember things. That's a myth. There's no such thing as I have a bad memory or not. There is the fact that I don't want to try, the fact that I'm lazy, or the fact that I'm afraid to try because I don't want to be shamed or to have a bad experience or someone mocking me. I just sit behind that excuse that I have a bad memory. There's no such thing as a bad memory, except if there was head trauma or something. Yes, it's medical. But other than that situation, that exception, there's no bad memory. We can train our memory, okay? And to train the memory, there's cognitive training, things like the structure of intellect that can sharpen the memory. And even for adults, there are techniques. I'll talk in details about them. But for example, visualization, association techniques, mnemonics, repetition, there are many exercises that we can do to improve our memory. Okay, so these are 3 things. Number 1, it's good. It's important for learning. Number 2, it shapes who we are and our ability to make decisions and to function. Number 3, it is trainable. Number 4, I think it was hinted to you from point number 2. Number 4, the interpretation of the memory matters as much as the storage of that memory. I repeat, interpreting how I interpret this memory is important or matters as much as its storage. What do I mean? We remember how we felt because events in our memories, events are connected with emotions, and emotions, they create chemicals, and the chemicals in our brain, they lead to experiences and they lead to behavior. The things that we experience, if, for example, a dog, I'll take that example that I gave, a dog biting me. If I interpret it as every dog will bite me because that dog bit me, then I develop a phobia from dogs. But if I interpret it as that dog was sick or I caused that dog to react, and it was a one-time incident, then it will not become a phobia. A very harsh example, another one, extreme example, being abused as a child. What can be learned from that, right? It's very traumatic, I understand. I'm not belittling it. I'm not saying that it can be overcome and yeah, it's a piece of cake. No. But with the help of coaches, it can be overcome. If you're abused as a child, if you see that as a lesson, someone can help you. It's difficult to do it on your own. If you are able to see that as a lesson, so it happened, coaching and these kind of things cannot change the past. No one can change the past. We're not making that kind of statement. But what we can change is how we interpret those experiences. So that experience, if I learn from it, I can learn from it how to differentiate between a good person and a bad person, a situation that might lead to abuse or not. I can relate the lesson to my kids, to my students, to people I know. Then it becomes a lesson that I can overcome and live with. If I don't take the lesson out of what happened to me, then it becomes trauma, and then it affects my life. It becomes a block, a learning block, and so on. Okay? So this was number 4. Number 1, important for learning. Number 2, can someone help me? I'll give you a minute. Number 1, it's the core of learning. Number 2, it shapes who we are and our personality, our decision-making ability. Number 3, it is actually trainable. We're not doomed. It's not a score. Number 4, it's the interpretation of the memory what matters, not as much as its storage. So they're not at different levels, they're the same. It's important to store that memory, to store the lesson, to store the experience, the learning, but also how we interpret, how we explain what happened to us or what we saw in class. It doesn't have to be a traumatic event, anything. A happy moment in life, or a success, or an achievement, or how we interacted with our families. All of these things, whether information or experiences, how we interpret those matters as much as storing them. And we're going to talk about how to handle bad memories, and the good ones, how to benefit from them, right? When we change the story, we can change the person. As simple as that. It's not a simple process, but it can be as simple. It can be simplified. Number 5, last but never the least, a strong memory leads to lifelong learning. If my memory is not strong enough, then my learning is hampered, is not I stole. Okay? Why? Because I give today's life, there's information overload, right? And so everything we encounter and we learn, if we cannot store it, I know there's AI, I know there are online dictionaries and whatever information is available, but I'm talking about the information that's related to our specialism. Okay, if we're not able to memorize the things that are important for us, that are lessons for us, or that are important for our careers, then we cannot develop. Because we learn, we experience what we learned, we transform working memory to lifelong memory, to long-term memory. So we achieve a result which will help us to develop. If that step is missing, then the development cannot happen and we cannot achieve our highest potential. So, being able to keep this information, to memorize, is very, very important for the development, for our ability to function, as simple as opening doorknobs. Imagine that you cannot remember what you were taught as a kid. So you wouldn't remember how to eat, how to use a fork and knife. You wouldn't remember. I'm giving you a simple example just to be able to appreciate the importance of memory, the importance of the brain that we have, and the amount of information that is stored in our mind. But consciously, you're not aware of all this information. If you just take a moment and sit and try to think of all the things you learned, you will be overwhelmed. Like I'm just thinking now about it, you'll be overwhelmed. Just, for example, what is your age? You're 30 years old, so there's 30 years of learning. But why you're not exposed to all this information all the time? Because there's something called the conscious and the subconscious. And the subconscious, which is this huge store of every single experience and information that you've been exposed to and went through. And there is the conscious. And the conscious has only access to what is needed in a situation at a time. And there's something between them, which is called the community of filters. And that's the new generation of NLP. Those community of filters are those experiences. They dictate what kind of information you have access to from your subconscious. And they are the interpretations of your experiences. So if you interpret it wrong, then you only have access to the bits of information that show you that a dog is a menace, or a dog is a threat, or a tight space is something that will kill you, or that math problem, or that math in general is something that is a nightmare for those who can relate. Or maybe science, biology. Please not biology, because that's my specialism. Okay? 5 things. Memory is important for learning. It's at the core of learning. Number 2, it shapes who you are. It shapes your ability to make decisions, your ability to function, ability to empathize, to love. Number 3, memory is trainable, opposite to what the understanding is. Number 4, that's number 4. The interpretation of the memory is as important as its storage. And number 5, a strong memory means lifelong learning, means development, meaning achieving your highest potential. We mentioned all of this. What's the purpose of actually talking about memory tonight? To help you, because it's something we all know about memory, right? And we sometimes suffer from short memory, which does not exist. It exists actually, but which is not a score, which is not, I'm doomed, I have a short memory. We talk about memory like memorization for students who have exams. Now we're done with the exams. Good luck for your results. We talk about memory when we're trying to memorize a shopping list or things that we want to remember, a birthday. All of these, they actually affect our experience in life. That's why I decided to address this topic tonight, because there are so many things, or this morning or this afternoon, wherever you're tuning from. But also to give you tools, to give you ways you can improve, you can overcome, you can cherish, you can use. First of all, start viewing memory as a skill, not just as a score, like I have good memory, I have bad memory, I can remember, I cannot remember. No, it's something that is trainable. It's not a score you're stuck with, it's a tool that you can develop. Okay? Now, what are the tools? Or actually, it's a processing system that has tools to improve it. What are these tools? So let's talk in general for adults and for kids, for everyone. And then I'll talk about the kids. There's a specific program for them. And then I'll talk about life experiences, how they can be changed if they are related to bad memories or bad experiences in the past. So, in general, tools. You have something called visualization. visualization, putting things in drawings. So that's mainly involving studying, but it also can be related in life planning. So making mind maps. I made a mind map for everything that has to be dealt with, because I felt that I reached a point where I was overwhelmed. And if you keep everything in your mind, everything you need to remember, then you start forgetting, because remember, your mind can process 6 items at a single time. Do this simple exercise. How many car brands, do we say car brands? Whatever. Can you remember? Now, you start naming. I will not name because that's not advertisement. You start naming. First, it goes fast. 1, 2, 3. You start struggling. 4. Why can I not remember? 5. Oh my God, it's impossible to remember the 6th. Name of countries. You start, 2, 3, 4, then 5. Oh my God, 6. I can barely remember. It's not because you forgot them. It's because your mind can process 6 items at a single time. Okay? But if you note them down, if you start taking the habit of, or noting them down, because now we rely so much on our technology, then you can process more. Because once you wrote them, now you can forget about them and free your mind to process 6 new items. Okay? So that's one advice to improve your ability to remember things, not your memory, because you might have an excellent memory, but because you weren't aware about this fact of 6 items, you thought that you actually have a bad memory. Now, visualization. When you transform the ideas into into pictures, into mind maps, into diagrams. That's one way. You're gonna tell me I don't have a pen and paper every time I need to remember some things. There is something called association techniques, and that Jim Quick is an amazing coach for that. He's a memory coach, actually. The association technique, when you associate things to locations, you link them to something well-known, to a path. So this is very advanced, and I'm not the best person to talk about this, but there's a technique called association technique if you want to research about it. It's very, very helpful. Now, there are mnemonics. Mnemonics is when you use acronyms, like who doesn't know? Don't feel alarmed if you didn't know or don't remember it. PEMDAS. For the mathematical, no, I'm losing my words. Very serious. Okay, memory. So the functions for it. So parenthesis, then exponent, then multiplication, then division, then addition, then subtraction. That's how you remember PEMDAS. Or, for example, how to remember the planets. My very educated mother just served us noodles. So my for Mercury, V for Venus, educated E Earth, mother for Mars, J just for Jupiter, served for Saturn, and us for Uranus, and noodles and for Neptune. So these are called mnemonics. You can create your own to remember a certain list, right? There's also repetition, and the repetition works very well for remembering names. How? You just met someone and they told you their name. I am number 1, guilty of charge. I forget a lot of the names. So what solution did I find? To repeat. So, hi, how are you? I'm Laura. Nice to meet you, Laura. I repeat the name I just heard. Oh, Laura, did you know that yesterday, so and so? Repeat their name once or twice. Okay? And so, these are the techniques that I know of, and they're very helpful. And there are many more, but just to help you with a starter, Now, there's a program I told you about just a while ago that is for children between 5 and 20 years of age, and that's called the Structure of Intellect. The Structure of Intellect is something I'm certified to deliver, and that is a program to develop the cognitive skills of young people, aged between 5 years and 20 years. It's an amazing program. It doesn't work only on memory, but it focuses on memory because memory is so important for the learning process. So, structure of intellect. It's after J.P. Guilford, who identified 150 cognitive skills that are essential for the proper learning and functioning in life. And those cognitive skills are trainable, like memory. They're trainable to improve them. So if someone has learning disabilities, if someone, like my daughter, she was actually someone who was neurotypical, so didn't have any learning difficulties. When I did the program for her, I was able to move her to someone near gifted, and a lot of talent was revealed. She wrote a book. It's a bit far from me now. I published a book for her called the Five Jewels, the Five Dragons of the Jeweled Forest. Sorry, she's gonna kill me. Yeah, so the program is amazing. Among different skills, memory is one of them, and it developed this memory. And the last thing that can help you overcome your blocks, whether they are mental, emotional, learning, academic, to some extent. Academic, I leave it to the structure of intellect. It's something also I've been certified to help with, which is the new generation of NLP. And if you don't know what NLP is, it's neuro-linguistic programming. So how the brain functions using language to reprogram the mind. Okay, now it looks like food, it looks like something, spells. No. It's very scientific. And the new generation, something that was established by Shahad Abu Zaid. And I had the privilege to be trained by his wife, an amazing coach, Hala Tahouf, and himself, with some interventions. And I had the privilege also to receive sessions from him, which helped me actually overcome my lack of self-confidence. I say it out loud. I'm proud that I was able to overcome it and be here, for example, in front of you and doing this live. And also he helped me remember everything about an accident that I went through. If you were following me and you saw one of the reels that talked about my experience, the car accident, I had forgotten everything as if my memory was erased on the day and how it happened. And he helped me actually restore everything. So because I remembered everything, I was able to get the last lesson necessary for me from that experience. So it stops being a kind of trauma. I wasn't traumatized by it, but there was still something that didn't feel right, something that was missing. And part of it was related to my lack of self-confidence. And actually he helped me remember. So new generation of NLP helps you either remember or overcome your traumas by changing the interpretation of what you went through. So NLP does not erase events. No, they happened. We don't want to erase them. We want to keep them because they are lessons for your life. And those lessons are what will help you level up, help you achieve your highest potential. So let's conclude tonight. Let me see how... Oh, I'm just on time because I always promise half an hour of your precious time. Your memory is a jewel. It's a processor. It's amazing. Your brain is a processor. And the ability to memorize is a very important skill because it's the core of learning, because it affects who you are. It is trainable, don't forget. The interpretation of what you remember is actually as important, not more important, as important as the storage of this experience or information. And finally, the strength of your memory will determine how much of a life learner you are and how much you are actually able to achieve. You have a bad memory, that's not a score. That's something that can be improved with training, with a backed up program, Structure of Intellect, with support of the new generation of NLP. You might be intrigued, new generation. Yeah, it's NLP, but it's a new generation, meaning that an improvement to the classical code of NLP. The new generation is more effective, faster, and lifelong. And I'm so proud that I was able to be certified in both the Structure of Intellect and the new generation of NLP. And I'm ready to serve you anytime you need support and you decide you want to level up and you decide you want to complete your learning, experience what you learned so that you can achieve and develop into a best version or better version than you are today. Doing it with intent and loving the process. I'm Lara Ghani Mekhnaiser. Thank you for listening tonight or today or this afternoon, and I cannot wait to serve you. I'll see you next time.